Hi guys. So what I want to bring to you tonight is I really wanted to leave you with some real life tools that you can go out and change the world with in a real way. Like not like some speaker up here just saying like you can change the world, like an actual thing that you can do to change every conversation that you have and will change the world right here, like in this room and when you leave here tonight. So the tool that I'd like to give you is to give up your need to be right. Oh, it's a juicy one. Yeah, because it turns out that we like to be right more than we like to be happy. My grandma used to say that. She used to say, you can be right or you can be happy, but probably not both. Yeah. Think about it. Every disagreement that you have in your house, at work, politicians, wars fought on this planet are fought over righteousness. Someone is right and someone is wrong. And we love to be right. We love to be right about our opinions, about the church we go to, the kind of yoga we practice. We love to be right about the kind of car we drive, the house we have, the friends we have. We love to be right about our opinions more than anything. We love to be right more than we love to be happy. And in fact, we love to be right about shit that doesn't matter at all. Like not one bit. So I was driving with my husband out to my parents' house, and we live on the west side, and we have to go by Gorman's Mill where he works. And he took a different route. And I said, why are you going this way? And he was like, well, because it's shorter. And I actually took up a cause. Like, for real. Like, I was like, it's not shorter, and you should be going this way. Who gives a fuck how my husband drives to work? Or like, chooses food or what dorky shirt he wants to wear to the gym. Why do I even care about that? And yet, like, the righteousness tastes good in my mouth, right? You guys, you know what I'm talking about? A little bit? Yeah. We spend a lot of time on this planet justifying how right we are, and especially how wrong someone else is. Oh, we love to point out what a jackass someone is, right? Like how they don't live their life the way you should live your life, because we know, because we're right and they're wrong. There's like a special sweetness to that one. So why does it really matter beyond, causing war on the planet? Why does it really matter about giving up your need to be right? The cost of you being right is high. The cost of you being right is that your righteousness creates a breeding ground for anger, resentment, disconnection, blame, shame, guilt. And the impact of that is no conversations are happening. You're right, someone else is wrong, period, end of story. Just like that. We've all known or heard about like families that have feuds where like Uncle Jim hasn't talked to Uncle Bob in 35 years and no one can remember why, but like he's right and there's no conversation, nothing new is happening because of righteousness. Because of righteousness. I'd love for you guys all right now, bring to mind someone in your life right now that you're making wrong. And there's some of you, we're in a room full of yogis, and some of you might be like, no, I don't make anyone wrong. I always say if it's not one thing, it's your mother. Go there, yeah. So bring to mind someone that you're making wrong, something that you're really right about. And all of you probably have something, right? You got something? Somebody in your life do something wrong to you? Maybe? And just think about it for a minute. Think of all the reasons why you're right about them being wrong. Actually think about it. There's a physical reaction that happens to that. Some of you get your heart rate beating a little more. If you're like me, you clench your teeth. I'm surprised they're not nubs by now. You might clench your fists. You get flushed. There's an actual physical reaction to that. Now, think about the person that wronged you. And as you're thinking and getting worked up about how wrong they are, and they're sitting at home on Tuesday night watching TV, what was the impact on them of you getting worked up? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So you're essentially holding on to a hot coal, ready to launch it at another human being, and you're the one who gets burned. That's righteousness. You being right about somebody else being wrong. Now, what if somebody did something really terrible to you? We've all been hurt emotionally by other human beings, some of us physically, and we're not making light of that or minimizing the impact of anything that may have happened to you. This is about getting clear that there is a bigger cost than benefit to you being right. The cost is your peace of mind. The cost is your access to love and connection and real conversation. The cost is curiosity about the human beings that we share this planet with. So I wanted to share with you where righteousness really screwed up my life. I have a son who's now, he's 22, going on 23, and he's a drug addict. And he's been a drug addict since he was about 14. And he did all the drug addict stuff, which you guys probably know, but you watch TV, right? Some of you know some drug addicts. He stole from me, he lied to me, he stayed out all night, he screamed, he yelled, he was violent. It was awful. It was like chaos in my life and in my house. And I was so right about it being wrong, and so right about how wrong he was, and his addiction was, and how it shouldn't be this way. And I'll tell you, you want to know why I was right? I'll tell you why I was right. He comes from a good family. We were good people. He has 3 brothers that are normal. Nothing wrong with them at all. He went to private school, played hockey. He's got grandparents and aunts that are right here in the audience that loved him. He got to travel. There was no reason on this earth for that to happen. And I was so right about it being wrong, and my life was chaos, and I was miserable. And when I look back now, I realize that being right is a kind of weird power that's born out of fear. When we need to be right so badly about something, there's usually fear underneath it. I was afraid my son was going to die. I was afraid that he would get sick. I was afraid he would live his whole life in the hell of drug addiction. And to be honest, I was afraid of what other people thought of me, my parenting. I was afraid of what people thought of my family. And most of all, you guys, the biggest thing, I was terrified that it was my fault. The thought that it was my fault that my son was shooting heroin in his arm was like too much to bear. And so I turned all my weapons outward. It's everyone else, it's everything else. It shouldn't be this way. It can't happen, and I'm right. We don't deserve this. So I've been a yoga teacher for 17 years, and you'd think I should know better. I read all the books, and I had all the fancy things to say to people. And I talked about, acceptance. And I could practice it at arm's length out there where it looked really good. And I talked about forgiveness. And I could do that for other people, but not with the fresh wounds it seemed like my son was inflicting on me on the daily. Because I was right about how it shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening to me, and he's wrong, and I'm right. He's making my life a living hell. And then one day I was rereading, my teacher Baron Baptiste wrote a book called Being of Power, and I read it many times. But this one day in particular, I was reading it, and I came across something he wrote that just it was like it hit me in the back of the head. You ever do that? You reread something, how did I miss that? Oh my God. And what Baron says in the book is, as long as there's war in your heart, there will be war on the planet. Don't worry about what's going on in the White House. Worry about what's going on in your house. And I was like, whoa. What I realized was that I had taken up arms and I was creating energetic violence in my own home by being against what was happening. And I was tired. I was sick and tired of fighting and screaming and struggling. And I kind of chuckled in the moment when I thought about Gandhi, be the change. We've all heard that. It's a great bumper sticker, and some of you have spiritual gangster shirts that say it and stuff. Yeah, right? Like we all do it, and we like to toss that around. And I really got a glimpse. I would never pretend to think that I know completely what it means, but I got a glimpse. Oh my God, I've been waiting for everything around me to change. I've been waiting for Nick to change, for me to be happy. I've been waiting for the right doctor, the right rehab. God help him, get a girlfriend to fix him and take him away from me. I was waiting for everything to change, and I didn't change. I knew what I was against, and I knew what was wrong, but what was I for? What did I want? So I got really clear that I didn't want it to be the way it was, but what did I want? I wanted a relationship with my son where even if he is an addict, that I can talk to him and that he knows he's loved. So I called him, and it went something like this. I said, Nick, I apologize for making you wrong for being an addict. It must be terrible to have to go through life, like living day to day with an addiction, and then have your mom, the person that loves you the most in the whole wide world, making you wrong at every turn. I am so sorry. Can you forgive me? And there was a really long pause in which I'm pretty sure my son was wondering, who is this woman and where does she have my mom tied up? Because my mom's a yeller. My mom would be swearing at me by now for sure. And he said to me, Mom, there's nothing to forgive. And now here's the kicker of this whole situation. My son never took responsibility for anything in his life. I watched him steal money out of my wallet, and he swore up and down he didn't do it. Like, I watched him with my own eyes, and he tried to convince me I didn't see it. He blamed everyone else and everything else for all of his stuff. And in that moment, he said to me, Mom, you need to get this. I'm alive because of you. You did not do this to me. I got myself where I am. I made the choices that got me here. This is not your fault. Now I was stunned. I was silent. And it dawned on me that responsibility, taking responsibility, was contagious. Taking responsibility was contagious. So I said to my son, who I want to be for you is not who I've been being. I want to be someone who can have a conversation with you, even if I don't agree with you, to just be a space where you can tell me stuff and I'm going to love you. And I hung up the phone, and for the first time in a long time, I felt peace, like a lot of peace. And then I got really excited because I realized I'd been holding a sword over so many people's heads for so long, over petty little shitty resentments for perceived slights over the years. So I started making phone calls, and I phoned up my sister, and I told her, I've been making you wrong for something, and she's like, I didn't even know. Like, whoa. And then we had my sister's here today, and we had a real conversation, and there was tears, and our relationship got so much better. And I called my mom, and I called people that I don't even talk to anymore. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm making you wrong. They're like, you're weird, man. And my life just got free. The cost of my righteousness was my peace of mind, my access to happiness and freedom. And when I gave up my need to be right, and I just allowed others to be, and apologized for making them wrong, my life got way better. And I would love for each of you, for your life, to get exponentially better when you leave here tonight. And so what I would offer you are two tools. And I want you guys to don't talk on your cell phones when you get out here because it's illegal, but turn the Bluetooth on in your car and start making phone calls, and you can start small. So the first thing you want to do, the first thing I invite you to do, is to apologize for making someone wrong. And acknowledge that that's been the cause of the breakdown in your relationship. Acknowledge that. Bob, we've been working side by side for 10 years, and I've been making you wrong for doing your job different than I do. And that's the cause of the breakdown in our relationship. Simple, like that. Right? Number 2, create who you want to be going forward. Declare it. Just create it. I don't want that in our relationship, Bob. I'd like us to talk. I don't even know if you're married. 10 years I've been working beside you. Create it. I want to get to know you. I want this. I want that. And we're not talking about letting people off the hook for doing terrible things. People do terrible things. This is about something bigger. Something way bigger. Giving up your need to be right doesn't let anybody off the hook for their actions. It just gives you access to freedom. So apologize, take ownership, then create who you want to be going forward. Start small and start making phone calls and see how your life changes. If you got people right in front of you, talk to them face to face. Have real conversations about where you've been making others wrong. And knowing that you could walk out of the prison of shame and blame and resentment tonight, when you leave here with these tools. If you want to change the world, ask yourself this. If not you, then who? And if not now, then when? Go out there and apologize, forgive, and become the author of your most extraordinary life. Thank you.